Hey, this is Eric from George's Music, and in my hand I have the Digitech Trio pedal. This is a really unique pedal that allows you to record up to 3 different parts and have bass and drum accompaniment. So I'm going to be using this along with the FS3X foot switch from Digitech, show you how this actually works in conjunction with the Trio so you can remain hands-free and play all your parts seamlessly together while writing your own tunes. Let's check it out. Okay, the Trio allows you to record up to 3 individual parts where you can actually practice your rhythm guitar or your lead guitar parts using the accompaniment of the bass and drums that are actually included inside the Trio box. Okay, taking a look at my setup here, I've got the Trio powered up with the power supply that it comes with. I've got my FS3X foot switch plugged into the 1/4" input here. It's a tip ring sleeve. I've got my guitar coming in here and my 1/4" out to my amplifier. I've left my style the same genre for all parts. My drums and bass are the same volume. I'm leaving my tempo the same, and I'm using this example in the rock setting here. And my FS3X with my mode, my down and my up switches, which I'm going to cover in just a second. Now, to save a lot of time, what I did was I already pre-recorded 3 parts. This video is more focused on how the foot switch works with the Trio, so you can actually see how you can be hands-free playing the guitar and not necessarily having to stop playing guitar, reach down, and switch to a different part on the Trio. So my first part that I recorded was something real straightforward. It's more like a blues outline. It goes from like A7 to a D, back to an A, E, and D7, back to an A. So to hear that, I can either press play on the Trio, or what I'm going to use is the foot switch adapter that's with it, and I'm just going to select mode, and you will see that you can actually hear that part. It'll play that part. Here's my D, back to my A. You'll hear the E, D, and then back to A. So that's my first pre-recorded part. Now for a guitar player, that could be a wealth of knowledge. Just having that accompaniment, I can actually practice my scales or my chords over top of that and become a better either rhythm or lead player. To make it a little bit more fun and to make songwriting a little more fun, I actually created another part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the foot switch. I'm going to select up, and it'll go to part number 2 that's in the Trio. And for explanation, all I did was like a C2 chord to an A, C2 to a D chord. So to hear that pre-recorded sound, I will press the mode and we'll start that pattern. So here's my C to my A, now C, and of course it goes to the D. And then I wanted to record one last part. I wanted to really try to cover a lot of chords here. So in my third part, I'm going to select, I recorded E minor to a D to a C. So that actually sounds something like this. Here's my D to my C, and so forth. So I've recorded 3 different parts. Now the great thing is I can now seamlessly go between those parts and either practice my changes or practice hearing how ideas sound over top of one another. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my blues phrases. I'll play in the key of A, so you actually kind of see how a guitar player can actually utilize this foot switch. I'll play in the key of A and go through those chords. Now my next part, I'll go to part number 2, goes to that C chord that I was talking about, to the A, and I'll just add some really open octaves. Kind of open it up a little bit. And for the last part, which is E minor to a D to a C, as I'm writing my song here, I might use some E blues phrases, or I may just use the E minor scale. Just something that you can actually hear all 3 different parts seamlessly move together. Now again, I'm not utilizing the buttons on top of the Trio and stopping and starting my guitar playing. I'm just going to use the foot switch. So here we go. Let's start it. So here's my A. Okay, so let's play. I'm going to press up, and you'll notice that part number 2 is flashing, and it's going to go right into my C part. Up. Okay. And then if I use my foot switch again, it'll move up into my E minor part. Here's my E part. Here's my D, C. I'm going to press it up one more time, and you'll notice it's going to go back to part number 1. So it goes part of 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go back to my A. Ready to go into part number 2. Here's my C. I'm going to get ready to go to my E minor part. So just with the foot switch, I'm able to go between the parts without stopping and starting my guitar playing or my ideas. And the great thing is also, as you get more accustomed to it, you'll be able to go to part number 1 to part number 3, part number 2 to part number 1 by incrementally stepping up through the ups. You can actually see visually where you're at on the trio, but allowing your feet to do the work to change the patterns and not necessarily stopping your guitar player playing and pressing the trio. That's just actually scratching the surface of what the FS3X can do with the trio. There's a lot more functions. You can actually change the drum style if you'd like on the fly. It's really a cool accessory to have, especially if you have a trio, simply because it's hands-free. So again, the FS3X foot switch working with the trio. Get yours at georgesmusic.com.